Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Chick Chats. I am here today with my darling friend, Patricia. Trisha, which I know her as Pelham, is her other one. And I'm so excited to introduce you to her because our story goes way, way back. So, hello, good morning, Miss Trish.
Hi, honey. How are you?
I'm good. She's in Florida with the garden. I'm sitting in the Kings Road in the 60s.
Perfect. Perfect.
I'd rather be in your garden. Let's get down to the nitty-gritty on this. You are officially known as Lady Patricia Pelham Clinton Hope.
It's long, isn't it?
It's very long, it's not even double barrel, it's triple barrel,
Yeah.
as they call it. And so you are from a pretty serious aristocratic family.
You could say that, yes.
Would you just give us a little background on that?
Um, well, let's see. My father was the ninth Duke of Newcastle. We were an old political family. Our glory days were 300 years ago. So it's like way back there. And I'm the last one with the name and the title and all of that kind of stuff. And it is what it is.
Because there are no more men to inherit the title, is that it?
That's exactly it. My father's heir, who was an older gentleman, died exactly 6 weeks to the day after my father died, and that's when the end of the dukedom came about. It was sad, and I wish that it wasn't that way, but what can you do? I'm a girl. They
That
wouldn't look to
the
me.
that is the problem. And as I know, I don't know if this is still true, but there were only one or two titles that could actually pass to the female if there were no men. I met one of the ladies who
I
in
think
fact had
Marlborough. I think Marlborough is one of them. I'm not sure, but originally ours did. It did it twice. It went through the women, and
it really.
yeah, it hasn't done that again, obviously, because I'm here the last one.
You would be Duchess.
I would be the Duchess.
Well, we're
Yes.
going to call you the Duchess anyway. So this is my friend Duchess Trish. Trisha. Now, also, while we're on your history, the Hope. You have Pelham Clinton Hope.
Yes. Yes. Well, my great grandmother was a woman by the name of Adele Hope, and Adele Hope was the actual Hope Diamond heiress, and she brought the diamond into the family. It belonged to my grandfather, but he was the worst gambler in the world. I mean, he would do things like $100,000. The next person who walks through the door will be a blonde woman. He lost everything. And they had to end up selling the diamond, which I have no problem with. I don't want to touch that sucker. I went to see it at the Smithsonian, and they were all sort of in a tizzy and rolled out the red carpet and did this whole thing. It was hysterical. In fact, I was on the road with Fleetwood Mac at the time. They said to me they apologized that the timed safe would not open when I was there because they wanted photographs. And I was like, oh no, thank you. That's just fine. I don't want to touch it. And they said, oh no, but you are probably the only person who can. And I was like, why? And they said, because you're the only true hope.
You are my true hope. Oh my God, that is so fascinating. I mean, it is. So basically the Hope Diamond does not bring good karma.
Well, it was cursed.
Okay.
Even even though Evelyn McLean had it blessed or whatever she had done with it, but no, it was cursed,
Oh.
definitely.
So you went from that, and actually I meant to bring the book that you loaned me, which I still have, of the estate, which no longer exists also.
No, it does exist.
The estate exists, the home doesn't exist.
No, my father tore it down in 1938. It was, the walls were huge, the roof was huge. It was too expensive. It was ridiculous place to, it was falling down, and he didn't want to live there anymore. So he gave it to the nation and now is run by the National Trust. I was there 2 years ago. It was wonderful. It was
I know.
absolutely wonderful.
That's amazing. Now, I must point out that you really have lost the majority of your accent.
It's still
For a
hitching
girl
west.
with a good posh accent, you just lost it. You have lost it and become a posh American, or actually just like the rest of us. So going from that, we are now looking at the King's Road behind me. I actually, at one point, had a picture behind me of you, Cher, and somebody else from a movie that you were in.
Peter Bogdanovich.
Was that who it was?
Yes.
What was
Yes.
the movie?
Mask.
Mask.
Yes.
It was Mask. You were in Mask? I didn't
Yes.
know that. Oh man, that's
Yes. I played one of
interesting.
the bikers in Mask.
Oh God, I've got to go watch it just to see you there. That is hysterical. Well, how we met at literally on the King's Road.
On the King's Road. Neither one of us can remember how.
I know. It was almost all I remember is we were standing on the King's Road, and this was 1968. I was living in Francie Schwartz's flat while she was having this very short affair with Paul McCartney. And I remember, all I can remember is that I did not know how to buy cigarettes.
Because there were fives, tens, and 20s.
Exactly. So when
And
I
I had to teach you how to
you
buy
had to teach me how to buy cigarettes, because it was like a pack. No, and I really didn't know what the cigarettes were. But anyway, that I remember, that's a dear memory in my heart of how you and I met. And
them.
then, I mean, we kind of ran into each other. That was very much
Constantly.
the social
Constantly.
life, was the
Yes.
King's Road, right?
Well, I think that everybody on the King's Road knew each other because we all just, it was our playground. It
Yeah,
was our fancy dress place.
it
It was
really
it was magic. It really was. One of the big memories I have of you is I have no idea where this was. I have no idea whose house it was, but it was a party. And I remember sitting in big stuffed armchairs, and Cynthia was on my right, and Patty was on my left, and you were opposite me. And the four of us were sitting there laughing like crazy. And for some reason, that image has stuck with me.
I can't remember it, but I love the idea of it. I love it. The four of us
Oh,
just sitting around.
just screaming with laughter. It was the first time I ever met Patty. And I was remember sitting there thinking, oh my God, she's more gorgeous in life than she is in print. I think that's why I remember it, was because it was the first time I'd met Patty. You and Cynthia I'd known for a while. So
Yeah, that was also my reaction to her when I saw her. That's why I asked her to do
oh.
makeup. Can you help me with my makeup? Anyway, so there, but you then ended up in the States and were suddenly surrounded by even more music, right?
Absolutely. Yes. Delaney and Bonnie arrived in town, and I happened to go to a party at Victor Lowndes' house. And there they were. It was the first night they were there. Somehow I ended up going off and partying and going to dinner and doing the stuff. And I started hanging out with Alan Pariser, who was their manager. They asked me to go on tour with them, which I did. I went to Germany, the infamous German Delaney and Bonnie tour, which was quite something. With and the two opening acts were P.P. Arnold and the Bonzo Dog Dudar Band.
Both great. I don't know if people know about them over here, but definitely P.P. Arnold was amazing.
She was
She
fantastic.
was she American? I
I
think
think
she
she
was.
might have
Yeah.
been. Yeah,
She was kind of with Marcia Hunt and Doris Troy and some of
right.
those women who came over from the States. Yeah.
Right, right. I think she was. The Bonzo Dog were just outrageous, absolutely outrageous. And thank God, because the tour was interesting, but we had a promoter that just promoted it all wrong. And we ended up in Cologne. They wanted Eric to stand in the middle of the stage. They didn't care what he did. They just wanted him to stand in the middle of the stage and be God. And he wanted to stand behind a speaker and play guitar and be anonymous. And a riot started. And somehow they got us all off of the stage and from backstage or wherever. And got us onto the bus. And then when we got on the bus, the police cordon broke and the crowd came rushing at the bus and rocked the bus. And how we got out of there without that bus going over, I've no idea. It was very frightening, and it was sort of my introduction to rock and roll. It was very strange.
Was George on that tour also?
Not on that part of the tour. He went, I think he went to Sweden. He definitely was in England when they toured England. Everybody got so excited about them when they were there. I mean, my memories of them playing at the Albert Hall was standing in the back of the stage and looking out into the audience and seeing Ringo swinging around a column out of his mind and having a ball. And the whole thing was like that. It was just constantly like that all the time. That was December 69, I think.
Got it.
November, December.
I remember looking at their album cover at that point, the Delaney, because nobody really knew who Delaney and Bonnie were.
Nobody knew them at all.
The musicians loved them,
Yeah, it was sort of like a tidal wave came into town, and everybody who could play an instrument just all of a sudden got absolutely energized from the whole thing. It was extraordinary.
From there, did you came back with Alan to the States?
No, I stayed there for a little while, and then I went to California to be with Alan. Found myself in the middle of LA, early 70s, rock and roll craziness.
Laurel Canyon, baby. It was Laurel
Laurel
Canyon.
Canyon.
Yes, it was exactly like the documentaries show it. But the interesting thing is to say Alan Pariser's house was more, I think that was more well known than the Whiskey a Go-Go to many of us. It was like, well, where are you going tonight? Well, we're going up to Alan's house, or go and do this and then go to Alan's house. It was definitely this, everybody. I'll never forget being up there once, and John Belushi was in the kitchen with a knife.
Eyeing my knives.
With a knife. You saw that too? Oh
I
man,
remember you telling me about it at the time because I was somewhere else in the house and you
I
said,
don't
eyeing the knives.
I don't know why that scared me. Maybe it was something he did on SNL. But anyway, there were constantly, I mean, it was where George hung out. It was
Ringo.
Ringo hung out. Dave Mason was there a lot. A lot of
Right.
people were
And
there.
Donovan, well, because Alan managed Donovan and Dave Mason, so they were always there. I don't know, everybody was there. Everybody. I mean, I never knew who was going to turn up 24/7. I mean, it was like there was a swing door from my front door. All the stories of me waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning and finding Bowie and Ronnie Wood in my living room and telling them to get out. And they're looking at me like, but we're English rock stars. We want an English breakfast. And it's like, get out.
I don't know how you did it, my darling. I was up there a lot, and I don't know how you did it.
It was interesting. I guess you could say I had my own rock and roll salon. And
Yes, you did. And I'll just add that there were the occasional use of drugs.
yeah, you could say that. Occasionally, like every 20 minutes, somebody was, ingesting something somehow. Alan had invested in the best speaker system in the world. And people would go and record, and they'd leave the studio, they'd come to the house, and they'd put it over the system. And if it sounded good on Alan's system, you had a hit. And that's how people judged it. I didn't quite get why is it people are always bringing their new music up here? I would get to hear everything fresh out of the studio before it was played anywhere else. When I think about what happened, what went on at that time, and all the stuff we were involved with, what we didn't realize we were at the center of the whirlwind, and it was normal life to us. And I look at it now and think, oh, thank God I was young. We wouldn't have survived otherwise,
When did you do Mask? Were you with Alan when you did that?
No, Mask was 84.
And so was that what you were doing, is pursuing an acting career?
Yes.
Well done, girlfriend.
I know. Well, I had an amazing mentor, Peter Bogdanovich, so it was pretty good. And then I married Nick Mancuso, who at the time that I married him, he was starting to become successful. He did fairly well. It was just, he drank and he had terrible problems with that. And I finally got him off of the drink and it didn't help.
Did you ever, I mean, you were around a lot of drugs and alcohol. We were all around a lot of drugs and alcohol.
Everywhere.
Did you partake yourself, or I mean, how did
No.
you deal with that? Because I'd have been in trouble living
Oh,
in that.
no, because my mother had always told me that I was violently allergic to medications that were cocaine based. So I wasn't going anywhere near it because I knew that I couldn't handle it. So it was really my saving grace, because otherwise I think I would have been right in there with all of them.
The 60s, I think this is just a known fact. I mean, the 70s were the cocaine era.
Absolutely.
Everybody in LA was on cocaine. It wasn't a big deal. It was everywhere.
Well, I remember, being in places in restaurants and people just taking out the Coke and running it around the middle of the table. And, you know, going to, I remember there was a dinner party in New York and some hotels, a huge dinner party. There was like 60, 70 people there. And after everything, all the food had been eaten, everything, the waiters come out with trays of cocaine with straws stuck in them and just passed it around the table. I mean, it was completely insane.
What was it that our generation, I mean, I look at this a lot right now because actually I thought we were the generation of peace and love.
We were. We
Okay.
were. Yes, we were.
So, and yet at the same time we were really messing ourselves up big time with drugs and alcohol. I don't know, was that just a stage that we were going through, or was
I
because of the lifestyle we were living? I don't know.
I have no idea, but it somehow all got mixed in together and everybody was incredibly creative with their drug taking and with their music
Mhm.
and everything else. But I don't know. It's a strange question, that one,
Well,
because
yeah, it's an interesting one. We just weren't afraid of getting high. You know,
no,
we weren't
no, not
afraid
at
of
all.
overdosing or any of that stuff. I think that's why we lost some people.
Well, yes. I mean, you look at people like Gary Kelgren, who owned the record plant. I mean, I don't think in all the time that I knew Gary Kelgren that he ever had a day that he was straight or sober, and yet he was a brilliant businessman and a brilliant engineer, and he, created something incredible,
Yeah,
the record
absolutely.
plant. But he had a cane with little vials in it that were filled with different things and a constant bottle of champagne. So uh, it,
Yeah,
but
we went to the edge a lot. We
we
really,
went to the edge a lot too, but we were also post World War II babies. And I think that that had a lot to do in the way that our parents were, to where when we sort of were able to leave the nest, we just burst out in color.
I agree with you. I was talking about that the other day because our families went through the war and the depression, and I know for my parents who were very middle, if I don't even know if they've made middle yet, middle class, but they made sure that I had a phone in my room, I had a car to drive around when I was a teenager. Those were things our parents' generation never experienced.
Growing up in post-World War II England was very gray and kind of grim, and we had food rationing till the late 50s. And, so by the time the 60s rolled around and we were all coming into being adults, forget it. We weren't going to be like held down anymore. We were going to be what's behind you right now.
Well, honey, thank you so much. I so appreciate you spending time with us.
It's a pleasure, my darling, a
I'm going to
pleasure.
get back to you when we do the panel on aging.
Oh, how exciting.
Really? Okay, good. Because I'm working on putting that up in a few weeks. Do a little panel with some of us on aging.
Fantastic.
Hey, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Tricia, so much. And everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. Please save, subscribe, share, anything you can do. Support us women who are getting our stories out. Thanks very much. See you guys at the next one.